series. And my teacher challenged us to answer the question truthfully and honestly every time someone asked how we were doing. And because he was a third-year grad and I was a first-year undergrad and I worshipped the ground he walked on, I obliged. And I can't stop. Which sometimes is really nice. It creates meaningful conversations and stronger bonds with the people that I care about. But sometimes I'll be walking past someone and they'll be like, "Hey, Ilana, how's it going?" And I'll be halfway in through telling them that I just got broken up with and my house has mold, so I've had to move out of my apartment. And I've lived in 3 different places in the past week, but I haven't really had time to pack, so I'm kind of living out of my car. But I'm also going into tech for an independent where I'm the co-director and acting in it, and they don't care. So, because they don't care about my breakup, you guys get to hear about it. Because this is an audience and I'm staring at all of you, and if you leave, it'll be really uncomfortable for everybody. You're trapped! So, as I mentioned, I recently got out of a relationship, and by got out, I mean I was forcibly evicted from my home. The two events are not related, they just happened at the same time. But like anyone who is going through a breakup that they themselves did not choose to go through, I went through something along the 7 stages of grief. Shock, denial, guilt, songwriting, neo-futurist playwriting, laying in bed wondering what I did wrong, and finally, writing stand-up comedy about it. And so while I was trying to figure out why we broke up, I came up with 3 potential options. 1, I just didn't like the Lumineers and Hosier as much as he did. 2, in my last stand-up act, I made a joke about how he might have to financially support me in the future, and he just wasn't monetarily ready to commit to that. Or 3, and this is what I really think did it. This was the kicker. This is what pushed him over the edge. I pointed out to him that when 2 people kiss each other, you know where this is going. They essentially are making one long tube from butthole to butthole. See, that's how I thought he would react. He did not think it was funny. And like, maybe I shouldn't have said it while we were making out. Exes that I've had who have liked that joke are currently 0 for 2. So when I find someone who appreciates me for my butthole jokes, I know that I found one. Now this guy also was really into music that gracefully teetered the line between mainstream and indie. Anyone from the LA County area will be familiar with this as anything that could have had a good run on 104.3 My FM. Okay, cool. And this became a problem because his playlist is basically played in all small coffee shops everywhere. And I like going to small coffee shops. I wrote this joke in a small coffee shop. And it's just kind of challenging to hear. So the reason why I go to small coffee shops so often is because I fall under the stereotype of college student who cannot function without copious amounts of caffeine in her system. And sometimes I think that, like, maybe it's not that bad. And then I remember that on a full night of sleep, I poured milk into my coffee, which would have been all fine and dandy if I hadn't poured coffee creamer into my cereal first. Which I don't think is the amount of sugar that Kellogg's accounts for when they say that their cereal is part of a balanced breakfast. So the same morning that I performed that glorious sugary fuck-up, my roommate was actually packing her bag to go up to LA for the day because she was going to visit the Museum of Tolerance. And that day I had a thought that as a Jew from LA, I should have had long ago. Why is it called the Museum of Tolerance? I would like to be more than tolerated. Tolerance just has this negative connotation with it. Like, yeah, we don't really like you, but we'll put up with you. Like, why couldn't it have been called the Museum of Friendship or the Museum of Love? Or at the very least, the Museum of apathetically letting you exist in the same space as us without any animosity? Which, for the record, is I know is how people feel about me, but I'd like to imagine that it's because of my personality and has nothing to do with the fact that I'm Jewish. Okay, I'm not going to make any more Jew jokes because those are cheap, much like my father. Now I'm done with Jew jokes. But speaking of cheap, a few weeks ago, my roommate Heather and I were stuck in traffic behind this car that had a bumper sticker on it that said, gas, grass, or ass. No one rides for free. Right? And it had a little picture of a gas container and a weed leaf and a butt. And I feel like I should mention that this car was a light blue Honda Odyssey. A car almost exclusively driven by soccer moms. So I started wondering, what kind of middle-aged woman is asking her daughter's elementary school soccer team to pay her for rides home in weed? Will she not drop her coworker off at home without a healthy portion of ass? And what's the exchange rate here? Like, I'm sure you could figure out, like, miles driven to amount of gas used and, like, equate that to a monetary value with weed. I don't smoke weed, I don't know. But how much ass? and who decides the currency? Is it the driver? Is it the passenger? Do they have to, like, have a formal business meeting where they, like, shake on it and sign a contract? Does the passenger have to pay for the gas that it took the driver to get to that meeting, even if they weren't in the car? These are the questions that keep me up late at night. Well, that, and how would it affect the whole Shrek franchise if instead of donkey, Shrek said chonky? Also, is the plural of female platypus platypussies? That was the section of one-liners that I really liked and had nowhere else to put them. But something that actually keeps me up late at night is a few weeks ago I stayed up till about 2 in the morning thinking about my parents. And I know what you're thinking. Who the fuck stays up till 2 in the morning thinking about their parents? First, I have a very unhealthy sleep schedule. 2 a.m. is not that bad. Second, I have good reason. So I was made through in vitro fertilization. I had like an egg donor, and there was lots of money and doctor's visits and time involved just to conceive me. Make no mistake, I was no mistake. But was I worth it? Like, not in like I wish I was. That's a whole other issue that I would need another 10 minutes to talk about. But, like, was I worth it? Like, it cost more money than I will probably ever see in my life just to make me exist. And flash forward 21 years later, my parents have a child who exclusively eats bread, cheese, and chicken, only wears weird-looking socks, is costing them thousands of dollars to go to school to get a degree in drama, judges potential future partners on whether or not they think her butthole jokes are funny, and who almost started a trash fire outside of her freshman dorm with a vibrator. So you're going to get to hear that story now. So I already said the word vibrator, so we all know how the story begins. So I turn off the lights, go to bed, and then I smell smoke. No. So of course I jump out of bed, turn on the lights, and I'm rummaging around my room figuring out what the fuck is making this smell. I feel like I should add that I had a single dorm my freshman year. I wasn't like a shitty roommate. Really fucked up. So I eventually found the vibrator, and it was hot to the touch and smelled like smoke. So I did what any logical college student would do, and I took it and I walked over to my teeny tiny dorm trash can and I threw it away, picked up the trash can liner, walked down the stairs, and yeeted that shit into the dumpster. So then I walk back up the stairs, turn off the lights, go to bed, and then I remember that recently I had thrown away headshots. So I got back out of bed, turned on the lights, ran down the stairs, dug through the dumpster, found my headshots, and put them in the other dumpster because I could not have this tied to my name. Went back upstairs, shut the lights, locked the door, went to bed, and slept peacefully. I have no idea what happened to it. Maybe there was a small fire, probably not, but it could have happened. I know this is kind of an anticlimactic story. But that's the truth. Which begs the question, was I worth it? And, you know, I do separate my laundry into 4 different loads based on, like, color and type, so I'm going to go ahead and make the guess that I was worth it. Up next, he has gone a record 10 minutes without mentioning that he's a vegan, Brody Rogers!